Principal Snyder is a character that creates a lot of intrigue, at least in the beginning. We know that he's in the know and that he's working with the mayor, but we really don't know his motives. Was he a bad guy, or was he merely a pawn in a larger game, manipulated by forces beyond his control? I wanted to understand Snyder a little bit, and so I've developed a theory as to how he ended up where he is. But first, let's take a look at what we know. We meet Principal Snyder in Season 1, Episode 10, and right away a few things are established. First, he's not like Principal Flutie, R.I.P. And fun fact, Armin Shimmerman, the actor who plays Snyder, originally auditioned for the role of Principal Flutie. A few months later, he was told that Principal Flutie was killed off, and they wanted him as the new principal. Unlike Principal Flutie, Snyder is not sensitive. The second thing that we know about Snyder is that he's aware of the unusual occurrences that have been happening at the school. And third, he seems to have it out for Buffy. In episode 12, we see that Snyder cares a lot about the school's reputation, as he should, given his position.
Ow! Don't sue.
In season 2, episode 3, Snyder makes Buffy organize the parent-teacher night along with Sheila, the two worst students, which, practically speaking and personally, is an incredibly stupid idea. Why would you want to gamble on the worst students to organize an event that has parents? Unless Snyder knows that Buffy cares and he wants to make her sweat, and he wants to find a reason to kick her out. He's just waiting for the moment when she slips up. It becomes more interesting when Spike and the gang show up and Joyce asks what's wrong with their faces, and right away, Snyder responds with PCP. Later, Buffy tries to give directions to Snyder and he tells her that she has no right. He then tells Joyce,
"She's a student. What does she know?"
This implies that he doesn't know who Buffy really is. This is a life and death situation. And if Snyder was aware of the fact that Buffy was supernatural or the Slayer, he would have reacted differently. But it's clear in his interactions with her that he's unaware of her abilities. And then at the end, it's revealed that Snyder knows about the vampires and that he's working with the police to cover it up. As season 2 progresses, we see that Snyder clearly has it out for Buffy. He makes her volunteer to go trick-or-treating with kids in Halloween, although to be fair, he makes everyone volunteer. In episode 9, Snyder is specifically looking for Buffy at the career fair, even though there's no reason for him to specifically be looking for her. And in episode 19, we get a little bit more insight about Snyder's knowledge base. The school starts breaking out in chaos because of the Sadie Hawkins ghost. Snyder is extremely stressed and panicked. He doesn't know how he's going to cover up this story. What I find particularly poignant is the conversation that Snyder has with the police chief.
We're on a hell now. Sooner or later, people are going to figure that out.
City Council was told that you could handle this job. If you feel that you can't, perhaps you'd like to take that up with the mayor.
So Snyder knows about the mayor and he fears the mayor. He knows about the Hellmouth and he was placed into this position for a reason. He's not having an easy time with this job. He thinks that the truth will come out eventually. So there's an element of practicality to Snyder's behavior. In the next episode, Snyder wants Willow to continue to serve as a substitute teacher. He praises Willow, and he also asks Willow to change a student's grade to make sure that he doesn't fail because he's on the swim team. Snyder cares about the school's image. He wants the swim team to win. In the next episode, Snyder is excited by the idea of kicking Buffy out of school. And in episode 22, that dream comes to fruition. Snyder confronts Buffy while she's getting arrested. He tells her that she's trouble, and he genuinely looks fearful and shocked when she beats up a cop. Given this reaction, once again, it suggests that Snyder doesn't really know who Buffy is. Later, he confronts Buffy while she's grabbing her sword. He knows that Buffy didn't kill Kendra, but he doesn't care. He expels her anyway. Then, he calls the mayor.
Tell the mayor I have good news.
This is a clear confirmation that Snyder's directive to get rid of Buffy came from the mayor. In the following season, Joyce tries to get Buffy re-enrolled into school. When Joyce says that she will take it up with the mayor, Snyder says,
"Wouldn't that be interesting?"
reinforcing the fact that it is the mayor that wants Buffy expelled. We find out that Snyder has an appointment with the mayor, so they have a direct line of communication. When Buffy is admitted back into the school, despite Snyder's protests, he gets a call from the mayor and Snyder looks freaked. Then we get band candy. For a lot of people, this is usually where the sentiment towards Snyder changes. This is where we see him for who he really is. A dorky teenager who's very eager to have friends and eager to hang out with Buffy and her gang. He wants to be included. He thinks they're cool. Snyder also brags about how he was praised by the mayor for doing such a good job. In my humble opinion, this is by far the best Snyder episode. In Doppelgangland, Snyder asks Willow to tutor Percy. He recognizes the fact that Willow is the best student in the school, and And this is the second time that he relies on her. We again see the fact that he cares about the success of sports at the school to elevate the school's status. In choices, Snyder continues to be as funny as always. What's notable is Snyder's reaction to the mayor. Snyder looks shocked when he sees the mayor's face healing quickly. He had no idea who the mayor really was. Snyder appears to be a very scared individual. He doesn't know how to respond quickly in dangerous situations, and he panics every single time. After that moment, it feels like Snyder may be questioning the job that he's doing. The next time that we see Snyder talking to the mayor, he's very professional but cautious. The mayor compliments Snyder, but Snyder takes the compliment with reservation. He's not beaming or proud. When the mayor walks away, Snyder looks back at him suspiciously. The compliment doesn't seem to have the same impact on Snyder now. And then in the season 3 finale, Snyder is freaking out when the mayor starts to transform, and then he tries to reprimand the mayor before he gets eaten. When I brought up the idea of doing a video on Snyder, I was challenged to make Snyder sympathetic. Let's see if I succeed. Given what we know about him, Snyder wasn't given an easy job. He was doomed to fail. First, Snyder's key job was keeping the supernatural under wraps from the general public. He was put in charge of a school that is sitting directly on top of the Hellmouth, the hub of supernatural occurrences. Second, Snyder was also tasked with keeping the school in order and bringing up the school's rankings. He needs the sports teams to do well. He has to make the school look good, to make it look appealing. This is hard to do with the high mortality rate. No matter how good Sunnydale's teams are, the team members are prone to getting eaten or turning into fish monsters. And on this point, Snyder treats Willow a little bit differently from Xander and Buffy. He's still generally mean and pushy, but he respects her. To him, she's a valuable asset, much like the members of the sports teams. Snyder might not be the nicest, but he tries to do his job well. He tries his best to cover up the supernatural occurrences while also maintaining the status and success of the school. Third, Snyder clearly lacks a lot of information. He was thrown into this position blind. Yes, he knows about the Hellmouth and the supernatural, but he doesn't know who the mayor really is. He's working for a boss who he doesn't really understand. He doesn't know who Buffy is, but he's also told at the same time to get rid of her. He's thrown to the wolves without any real insight. Would Snyder be as mean to Buffy if he was not instructed to keep an eye on her? It's likely that if he was told what was really going on, he wouldn't do it. And fourth, Snyder hates children. Snyder's dislike of children is multi-layered. He needs to have control and discipline, and children are unpredictable and undisciplined when compared to adults. And he especially hates teenagers because when he was a teenager, he was likely bullied a lot. He probably thinks that all kids are bullies, and so he has turned into a jerk to gain some sense of control. To him, teenagers are the worst. So he has to exert power and control in order to maintain them. So here we have a guy who's tasked with covering up unnatural occurrences. All at the same time, he has to avoid all possible liability, even though it's really hard to do with the high mortality rate. On top of all of his jobs, he has to try to get rid of the good guy without knowing why. And he's surrounded by people that he doesn't like, namely children. My theory is that Snyder didn't want this job. He was selected into becoming a principal by someone in the government. I bet he wasn't even a principal. He was probably in an administrative position in a government branch that dealt with hostile subterrestrials. The mayor pulled some strings and had the government branch find the best man for the job. They gave him the credentials to make him eligible. Snyder took the job because he was worried about job security. He felt like it was the only way to go, because in this branch of the government, you just can't quit. And it's likely that he was manipulated into believing that Buffy is the bad element. He thought that she creates chaos. If Snyder was aware of the fact that she fights evil and that she in fact maintains order, it wouldn't make sense for him to be so hard on her. On the other hand though, while it was his job to maintain order and get rid of Buffy, being a dick wasn't in the job description. That he did for fun. Okay, so maybe I'm not being fully sympathetic. Here's the thing with my feelings on Snyder. I started watching Buffy when I was very little, and when you're a kid, Snyder looks like a true villain. He's a person in a position of power who's using his power to bully children. It wasn't until I saw a video by Passion of the Nerd that it finally clicked for me. Snyder is comic relief disguised as an antagonist. I can't take him seriously anymore. He's insecure, he's very afraid, and he needs to exert control because everything around him is out of control. He is a bully to his core, but he's very funny. And Snyder may be an asshole, but he's an asshole on my favorite show, and for that, I love him.
You All of you. Why couldn't you be dealing drugs like normal people?